When you have diabetes, you simply must be mindful about the foods you eat. And this doesn't mean just avoiding the sugars alone. It also means being careful about the sodium, the trans fats, the starchy vegetables, and you must beware of the unhealthy foods that have sneaky labels like fat-free. So diabetes is actually a leading risk factor for heart disease, strokes, kidney failure, blindness, amputations, and a major part of managing your diabetes is knowing what foods to put in your mouth. So today let's talk about it. I'm going to give you the 10 worst foods for diabetes. So keep watching. Welcome back friends to another episode of the channel Wealthy Health. So diabetes is actually a chronic medical condition that can cause a lot of problems. So it affects the way your body converts food into energy. So 1 in 10 people in the United States has diabetes. And more than 1 in 3 have pre-diabetes. So a very important part of managing the diabetes is understanding which foods are beneficial to your conditions versus which foods to avoid. So today we are going to talk about the foods to avoid as I give you the 10 worst foods to eat if you're diabetic. So if you have diabetes and you think that eating a breakfast cereal is a healthy way to start your day, please think again because breakfast cereals can be very unhealthy. So when manufacturers make things that are like fat-free and they label it in like a really big letters, they're doing it to advertise that the food is very healthy or at least to make you think that. But if they take away the fat out of your cereal, they still have to make it taste good, right? So you'll eat it. So what do? They replace it with sugars. So in fact, some of these breakfast cereals have as high as 25% of sugar. Go ahead, look at your label. Be a label watcher. So what you want to do when you have a diabetes is have foods with low sugar. So you want to stick to a breakfast that has high protein and low carbs. So breakfast cereals are loaded down with carbohydrates and sugars, and they even have low protein and low fiber. So eating a breakfast cereal is one of the worst foods you can eat if you're a diabetic. And go ahead and look at the labels of instant oatmeal because that's not good for you either. Barbecue sauce. So it is with a heavy heart that I report that you have diabetes because barbecue sauce is one of the worst foods you can eat. So let me explain because I know barbecue sauce seems pretty benign and from the south. So I love barbecues. But let's just say you have your diabetes and you're trying to have a lean lunch. And so you prepare a chicken breast with white meat, no skin. Well, in order to spice up the flavor a little bit, you decide to add some barbecue sauce. Well, if you add 1 tablespoon of barbecue sauce, that's 7 grams of sugar. But you're going to do more than just 1 tablespoon. So if you add like 2 tablespoons of barbecue sauce, that's 14 grams of sugar, which already is about half of the daily recommended sugar that you should take in. So this high sugar is not going to help you with the diabetes. It's not good for your diabetes. So it will spike your blood sugar and actually causes you to be a poorly managed diabetic. And so if you have diabetes, like barbecue sauce as well as other pre-packaged sauces like tomato sauces or even salad dressings, these are among the worst foods you could eat. French fries. See, white potatoes are already a starchy vegetable, which is somewhat of a nightmare for diabetes. But when you take that potato, you slice it up, you fry it in oils, especially oils with trans fats, and then you load it up with the salt. Well, this is definitely a food that you want to avoid. If you simply must have a French fry, try a healthier option like a sweet potato fries. Slice up the sweet potato, put some oil like an olive oil on the sweet potato and put them in the oven. See, white breads and pasta. Eating white breads and pasta can be like eating candy in some ways because they are loaded down with the sugars and they even have very little protein. So when you eat white bread and when you eat like instant noodles or even when you eat white pasta, this is definitely bad for your diabetes. So what you want to do is change the whole grains. So you want to use the whole grain breads and whole grain pastas, and you definitely want to avoid like bagels because some bagels can have like 45 grams of carbs. Ezekiel bread is something to try because it has some like a protein and some fiber, and it's definitely better as far as helping to prevent you from having the spikes in your blood sugar. Also, if you're eating like white rice, change to brown rice. Either way, white breads and pastas are some of the worst foods you can eat if you're diabetic. Potatoes. If you have diabetes, you want to avoid potatoes and other starchy vegetables. So one white potato can have actually 40 grams of carbohydrates and only 4 grams of fiber. And so if you simply must have a potato, try to use a sweet potato as a healthier choice. The next one is energy drinks. If you have diabetes, then you know that exercising is another way to help to manage your diabetes. But if you are drinking sports energy drinks to get your boost of energy before you exercise, please rethink that one. Rethink it because most of these energy drinks are loaded down with sugar, and a lot of them have that high fructose corn syrup, which is one of the worst additions that you can put in the food product. So go ahead. Yes, look at that label. One bottle of an energy drink will often have 32 grams of sugar, which is more than the daily recommended maximum sugar intake for the average woman in the US. See, instead of this energy drink, just drink the water. You can squeeze a little lemon in it. But if you have diabetes, then you do want to avoid these high sugar containing energy drinks. The next one is dried fruit and fruit snacks. See, now this one might surprise you, but just because a food says fruit does not mean that it's healthy. So when you're dealing with fruit snacks, for example, they advertise that they look like they might be healthy, but they look at the label. They have very high added sugar. So if you have diabetes, you want to avoid them. So then you think, okay, well, dried fruit. That's pretty natural. That's not so bad. The issue with the dried fruit is that it's very concentrated, and so you're ending up getting more and more sugar in a small amount. See, take grapes. For example, like 1 cup of grapes has about like 27 grams of sugar. Well, if you have like the dried fruit version, raisins, well, now 1 cup has 145 grams of sugar. See, that's more than 4 times the daily recommended sugar for a man. And so you have to be careful when you have this dried fruit, because again, it has more concentrated sugars. So you're taking in more sugar, which certainly can spike your blood sugar levels and be bad for your diabetes. So if you want a fruit, stick with the whole fruits like pears or apples, because they are loaded with fiber and nutrients, and eat the skin as well. So you want to avoid the fruits that have a high glycemic index like bananas. Even watch out for the fruit juices as well, because with the fruit juice you have the juice but you don't have the fiber, and so having a cup of fruit juice can spike your blood sugar as well. Then the next one is fried chicken. So I don't have to tell you that you already know that the fried chicken is one of the worst things you can eat. But if you're diabetic, I know it tastes good, but it's not good for you. See, fried chicken, it has a load of sodium, which is not good. And it is also fried. So if it's fried in oils, especially oils with all kinds of trans fats, that something can even worsen your diabetes. So now the trans fats in and of themselves don't directly increase your blood sugar, but high trans fats can increase your insulin resistance. Even they can increase your belly fat. If you're looking at the labels, how do you know something has trans fats in it? If the label has partially hydrogen in it, avoid it. The next one is flavored coffee. Listen, I know everyone loves flavored coffee. Like to walk around with your different cups and your lattes and your frappuccinos and all of these things. But if you have like diabetes, you need to be careful about the flavored coffee that you drink, because a lot of them are loaded down with sugar and these liquid calories. You won't even get a full from that, but you will be sitting there spiking your blood sugar. So just one typical cup of a flavored coffee can have 60 grams of sugar or more. And if you're at a coffee shop, ask them how much added sugar is in the product. The next one is soda or pop. So depending on where you're from is another thing that diabetics should avoid, because when you have soda that has sugar in it. So 1 12-ounce can of soda can have 32 to even up to 40 grams of sugar. And again, these liquid calories can be really bad trouble for diabetics, because you drink a soda and then guess what? You're thirsty for more. you're thirsty for more, and you're taking the calorie. Also, as some of the sugar can also be processed by the liver and it turns into fat, and so it's all a problem. So if you have diabetes, you want to avoid these sodas that have sugar. So these are the 10 of the worst foods. So if you have diabetes or pre-diabetes, the list does not end here. So there are more foods. I encourage you to be a label watcher. So I hope this video would be helpful and very informative. So please be sure to like it and share it with all the people you care about. So once again, till I come up with a new video, everyone take care, bye bye, and have a healthy life.